promised you guys a recipe using that smoked pigtails, and what I did was I told you guys I would vacuum seal it and keep it in the freezer or the fridge, and that is what we're using today. It's been out for about an hour now, and you gotta cut it up into small pieces, and you will need something big and heavy like this cleaver here, because although it was boiled, although it was smoked, it's still pretty tough. Once you cut it up, you're gonna cut it up into 1-inch pieces, and then you're gonna put it into a bowl with water with the juice of half of a lime. Let that soak for about 20 minutes while we prep the breadfruit that we'll be using. So let's jump on that breadfruit now. Wash the pieces, and the reason why I soaked it in this lime water, the water with half of a lime there, is because I wanted to remove a bit of this, a little tiny bit of the smoke. I don't want the dish to be overly smoky. So that is all good there now. So we're just going to give that a quick sort of season to marinate it. And as with just about everything we make in the Caribbean, it always starts with a good Caribbean green seasoning, and I want a heaping tablespoon of that into there. And Caribbean green seasoning, if you're new to Caribbean cooking, is just a puree or a blend of all the herbs that we like using in our dishes, be it thyme, scallion, parsley, all those different things, along with garlic and seasoning pepper. So that is what you have there, and we usually store it in the fridge in a container like that. If you go to CaribbeanPot.com, you'll find a recipe for that. And this is a very simple marinade. As I said, I want a Scotch bonnet pepper, seeds and everything. Remember, if you're overly concerned about the heat, the seeds and the white membrane surrounding the seeds is what you want to avoid. If you cannot get Scotch bonnet pepper, by all means use your favorite pepper or what you can source. I'm going over some Worcestershire, and I need some black pepper. No salt, simply because there's still quite a bit of salt in the salted pigtail, because it is salted pigtail that I smoke. And there's no real need to marinate this for long. You know, the time it takes you to heat up the pot is quite sufficient, because the whole idea here, the reason why we're using the smoked salted pigtail, is for flavors on two levels, the saltiness and the smoke. So we really don't need to marinate this for too long. If you cannot source that smoked pigtails, if pigtails is not your thing, yo, jump on the turkey, man. Smoked turkey will work just as good. If you can't find the smoked salted pigtail, you can also use ham hocks. That's a good alternative. So there we go, it's all ready now. I've got a nice big pot, high heat, tablespoon and a half of olive oil, and I'm going with 1.5 tablespoons of golden brown sugar. And if you've ever seen me do stew, as we do in the Caribbean, what quite a few people call brown stew, this is how we get that sort of brown color. And I know if you're first time you're watching this sort of tip, this sort of technique, you're probably thinking it's going to be a sweet dish. I guarantee you it will not be sweet. This is all about flavor and color. So here's where you gotta be careful. That's hot oil. That sugar is gonna melt. It's gonna go frothy. It's gonna go amber in color. And once you go amber in color, before it goes black, you want to add the seasoned pigtails to the pot. Now, if it goes black, stop, cool the pot down completely, and wash it and start over. It will be bitter. You don't want bitter tasting food, right? Now, you want to be, if you're not comfortable with this, a spoon with a long handle, because as you add the liquid in here from the marinade from that pork, from that pigtail, it will want to splatter back at you, and this will happen very quickly, so please pay attention, yeah? You will need to vent your kitchen because it can get a bit smoky. And you notice the lovely color we got there, that sort of deep amber color. Before it goes black, we're going to gently start adding the pieces of seasoned pigtail to the pot now. And you want to give that a good stir to coat the pieces of pigtail with that rich caramelized color on the bottom there. I'm going to turn my heat down to low, and I want that to sort of take on that color and that flavor. Do not toss this out. You want to add your coconut milk to here, and you'll need about a cup and a half of coconut milk. You're just going to allow that to continue just frying down, as my mom would say, there on that low heat. And all I'm trying to do is coat the pieces of breadfruit with all that niceness on the bottom of the pot there. And that same bowl where we marinated everything, I'm going to go in with that coconut milk. And we're going to need some water to come up, so about 2.5 cups of water. That was 2 cups of coconut milk, by the way. And because we're on that medium-high heat, it's going to start coming to a boil very quickly. We're going to start building some more flavors. That's going to come in the form of a tomato. We've got some slices of ginger. We've got half of an onion that I diced up there. I need some more garlic. Now remember, my Caribbean green seasoning already has garlic in it, but I like adding a bit more of the fresh stuff. So 4 cloves of garlic. I'm just smashing it with the side of my knife. And it's all about building flavors at this point, because we're going to allow this to go low and slow, because it will take a while to cook. It will take anywhere from about 1.5 hours, 2 hours to cook, to get nice and tender and to soak up all that coconut goodness. We need some more flavor in there. In goes some scallion, and yeah, scallion is already in the green seasoning, but that's the fresh side of things I was talking about. And here I've got 2 pimento peppers from my freezer. I grow them over the summer months, and I store them in the freezer. And that is a seasoning pepper. No heat whatsoever, but wicked flavor. All we're going to do now is give that a good mix, top it up with water, bring it up to a boil, and reduce it to a simmer. And we did talk a bit about the salt earlier, so I'm going in lightly with salt here, because there's still remaining salt in that salted pigtail. Later on, we can certainly adjust that, but for now, we want to give that a mix. Push everything down. Mix everything. Oh, you're not seeing things. I did add more liquid in there, as I said I would. And we're just trying to tuck the pieces of breadfruit down to get in contact with that liquid. And you will need to stir this every 15-20 minutes or so. What I like doing at this point, because I like it spicy, I like to float. I have here 3 wiri peppers. We call it coffee pepper. In the Guyana, they call it wiri peppers. I like to float that in there. It's going to come up to a boil. I'm going to put the lid on there, reduce it all the way down to a simmer, and let that gently cook. I'm going now for 1 hour and 45 minutes. I went in and I stirred it a few times, maybe every 15-20 minutes or so. And here's where you're going to personalize things, right? You're going to taste it for salt at this point and adjust that salt. You're going to decide whether or not you want this little gravy here. I like this gravy. That's going to thicken up even further as it cools. Adjust the salt, as I said, the gravy to your liking. Also, check and make sure that those pieces of pigtail is nice and soft now. And yeah, oh, by the way, oh no, Uncle Chris is using a tablespoon to stir the pot. Call the tablespoon police. Oh, wait a minute. Some people call it a tasting spoon. Oh no. Yeah, back to lyrics. You know, it's always falling apart. That breadfruit has soaked up all that coconut goodness, that smokiness from the salted pigtail. Boy, there's just all kind of niceness in this pot here. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. As always, I like to finish it off with a little greenery. You know your boy like to mash up that little greenery inside there. Oh yeah, give this recipe a try. You're gonna thank me for it. Remember, you can get that smoked pigtail, not barbecue, but smoked pigtail recipe right here on YouTube at youtube.com/CaribbeanPot. Irie. What's up, soldiers? Don't forget to click subscribe. If you've already clicked subscribe, hit that bell notification thing. I want to all you missing out on the new videos, man. Come on, click.